Uh-oh. Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mendez.
If you step on a rusty nail, you'll get tetanus and die. To prevent this, whenever you see a rusty nail sticking out of a board, go ahead and remove that nail. With the nail removed, we can reinsert a new clean nail back into the board. Now, we can safely step on this nail and not have to worry about getting tetanus.
Hi, this is your friendly neighborhood ER provider reminding you that nothing accidentally goes into your butt. It might accidentally stay there, though. No, you did not slip in the shower. No, it wasn't there when you woke up. We might have been born at night, but not last night. And it's not our first rodeo. Doesn't look like it's yours either. But please, be honest with us. We don't judge. We don't care what you do at home. We just want you to be safe in all your freakiness. Use things that are specifically made for the task. Things that you can retain. Things that you can retrieve. You don't want something to get away from you. Especially up your butt. So please, take care of yourselves and each other.
I'm in America right now, and I just need to say to all Americans, it's croissant.
My guy, I think we know is croissant, okay? But it would sound weird for us to be like, hey, I want a croissant. Like, when you say, like, you want to go to McDonald's, do you say, like, we want to go to McDonald's? Because that's how you're supposed to say McDonald's. I bet you say it, we are going to go to McDonald's, or something like that. So, fuck you. Fuck you!
It was time to show my server that I knew Chinese.
Do I know how to be a good wedding guest? Yes, I do. A little too well, that's the problem. My name is Elroy Potashnik, and from 2006 to 2009, I was addicted to encouraging white people. All right. Now there's a man who knows his meatballs. It started as simple survival. The tech industry in the 90s, this face, this voice, they're either going to help you or hold you back. So you tap the gas because, well, why tap the brake? Oh, you know what you're doing. I mean, this man knows exactly what he's doing. I learned the cheat code. White people like encouragement. It really doesn't matter what for. Now that's a container for liquid. I never felt like a sellout. I never laughed at anything unfunny, never said anything untrue. The thing is, and this will sound racist, white people are very discouraged. And very discouraging to each other.
Sweetie, you're getting meatball juice everywhere but your plate.
I think I'm doing better than you are with your asparagus.
Oh, no, that's the way to handle meatball. And look at you, working that asparagus. So, the day you start telling them, hey, just do what you're doing.
I love you.
I love you.
You feel like a superhero.
Have you ever considered that the song It's Raining Men and the song Let the Bodies Hit the Floor are the same event told from different people's perspectives?
Our anus is a useful thing indeed. The anus gives relief in time of need. We all have an anus, so no matter what you've heard, remember that anus is the proper word.
Let me ask you something. When you come in on Monday and you're not feeling real well, does anyone ever say to you, sounds like someone has a case of the Mondays?
No. No, man. Shit, no, man. I believe you get your ass kicked saying something like that, man.
From Filthy Martini Studios in Ontario, California, it's the Foos Show! Hey, what is up, everyone? I am Joe C. Thank you all so very much for listening into the Foos Show, and a special thanks to you Foos who subscribe, rate, review, and share the pod with your fellow Foos. Remember to follow, like, and comment on our Instagram and TikTok at Foo Bar Show. That's FOO Bar Show. And listen at FOOBarshow.com. And we'll food up like a couple of foos. Ain't that right, Steph?
That's right.
Steph, today's going to be a good one. You want to know why?
Why?
Because today we have on Tanner Poppitt, as well as Julian Mendez from Heretic. Now, Tanner, he's not in Heretic, but he just did a documentary called Don't Turn Your Back, The Story of Heretic, a heavy metal band that dates all the way back to like 1984. So this would be like their 30-year kind of anniversary here. Even though they had a hiatus, we're going to count all those years. Yeah. But they're going to be on the show for pretty much the entire show. We got a rather large music highlights segment here, and we've dedicated it all to them, to promoting Heretic, their history, the documentary that Tanner put together, and it's a really cool story. I mean, you saw the documentary with me when I was watching it.
I did. It was nice knowing that they still had all that raw footage from back in the day. Yeah. You know, when recording material wasn't really that accessible. Like, I mean, you probably had those flash cams, film cams.
Sure. But we're talking VHS.
Yeah.
Like big old cameras like that people had. Those like big ass RCA ones.
You had to bring that to the show if you wanted some recording. So I'm glad that they still had some of that.
Yeah. People, now he says that there was some storage units with all kinds of like merch from back in the day too, but those are now long gone, and that's unfortunate. But you know, I think that the documentary will overlap everything that they don't have, because it tells such a cool story. I mean, their enemies become friends, friends become enemies. You know, there's a nice little beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah,
it's cool. Like it's an actual story being told, and I, for one, am here for it.
It's an awesome story, and just hearing about it, I was just like so, you know, awestruck by the whole thing.
Yeah. So we're gonna get into that with them, but before we do that, Steph, what have you been into?
What have I been into?
Or up to?
Up to?
In, down, up, down, side, side, whatever. What's wrong? What's going on?
What's going on? Nothing. We just revamped this.
For those looking at the video,
office a little bit.
Yeah, man, come a little closer to the middle there, man.
I'm trying.
There you go.
I'm trying to find this new spot.
Yeah, so we redid our podcast room. So it got painted like 3 weeks ago. We built the desk, and we got these new microphone arm things like a radio station would. And here we are, man, looking all fly and shit.
Yes. You know, although we changed the camera angle, I am not entirely sure I'm too happy with it.
Well, it'll look different next week. How about that?
Yeah. I mean, we're
figuring it out.
Yeah.
We're figuring it out.
This is day one of the new setup, so there's going to probably be a couple changes.
Sure. Well, it looks snazzy. I mean, for what it is and for what we are.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, like, we're not going to take too much time here at the top of the show, but just wanted to say what's up. And here we go to music highlights. You ready?
Ready.
Actually, matter of fact, before I do that, Steph, I want to play one of their songs. A Time of Crisis by Heretic. So apparently this is the one that encompasses like who they are as a heavy metal band. So here we go.
Let's do it.
Today on the Foo Bar Show, we welcome Tanner Poppitt, the visionary behind the new documentary Don't Turn Your Back, the Story of Heretic, and Julian Mendez, the legendary vocalist and iconic American heavy metal band Heretic. Welcome to the show, you guys.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting.
Yeah, it's good to have you, man. It's good to have you. So, Tanner, this isn't your first time here on the Foo Bar Show. In fact, I believe it's like your third, but your first as a documentary creator.
Yeah, first as a filmmaker.
Yeah. Love the pivot.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Filmmaker, producer, director, camera guy, editor.
Pain in the ass.
Pain in the ass. Love this guy.
But no, I'm stoked to be here. I really appreciate you guys for having me and for having Julian here. It's a big deal for.
It's a big honor, man.
Both
you guys,
of us. So
freaking Heretic is awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, a staple in heavy metal in Southern California.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I used to get offended when we came back into the loop of things. We took a 20-year. 15-year-ish hiatus.
Yeah.
But when we got back in, there was young people coming up to me and going, "Dude, my dad used to tell me about
you didn't have to start the sentence bro.
My grandma bought me your first album," and I was like,
"Oh no!"
I must have had that face because they were going, "Oh, no offense," And I was going, "No, man, that's no offense." I mean, at first I was like weirded about it, but I don't care, man. We all grow old,
Yeah,
hey,
it's what happens to all of us.
And not only that, man. In life, man, you're as old as what your brain and your body makes you feel.
That's right. I'm still 10.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, there's times when I'm still like that with my grandchildren going, "Hey, pull my finger," But
Well, and you mentioned like a staple in SoCal, yet the band never gets recognized ever.
Yeah.
I don't know where it comes from. I'm sorry to not. I just wanted to throw that out there. It's actually a huge reason why I wanted to do the film.
Yeah, and here I'll put it on camera. Here, this is the DVD that we've been gifted by Tanner here. So everybody, where can everybody get this? By the way, right off the bat here.
Well, it's not a DVD. It's a Blu-ray.
It's a Blu-ray. My bad.
I don't know if there's a difference here.
There is.
Everybody who owns DVDs has a Blu-ray player, so I just consider it the same. But anyway, I'm just giving you shit. But it's all available at poppittproductions.com. POPPITT productions.com.
So, Tanner, what inspired you to create the documentary Don't Turn Your Back, the Story of Heretic?
Well, initially, there's a couple reasons, right? I'm a musician, first and foremost. So getting into music at first was kind of a little challenging, especially with like the older guard, as I call them.
Yeah.
And not to kiss your ass totally here, but
I mean, what else is he here?
Well,
come on, Tanner. I took a shower before I came.
So when I first met Angelo specifically and Julian and Brian, also I can't even remember when that was, but they were just the nicest guys that you would ever meet, and they would come out to every show, not of mine specifically, but just I would see him around all the time. So we kind of just started talking, and I was a fan. I had them on my first ever radio show back in 2015. Yeah. And in listening back to that interview, it's like, yeah, that's the reason why I chose Heretic out of all the bands I could have chose is because of that. Like giving a young guy an opportunity to interview a band of that stature, like that doesn't come very often, right? So it's another testament to the band's legacy and who they are as people, and then on top of that too, like this band in doing the documentary has had a lot of success, right? And that success has kind of been like brushed aside. So they were like, it's a band that I felt deserves way more than they got. I'm excited and honored to have at least done something, right? Like but it's just an ever growing thing of, there's so many bands out there, but there's only one band that's like Heretic, and especially it's the people, really. And then on top of that, they have a story that they might have not even known about, but it got captured, and here we are today.
I noticed that a couple of times throughout the documentary where you'll like bring up a subject, you'll lay out some facts about what happened in a particular period of time, and one band member is like, I had no idea that happened.
Yeah. You know what? It was a different time back then. You know, being in a band was like being in a 5-way marriage.
Yeah.
Well, you got the people that you're involved with and you're married, you think you're married with.
Yeah.
And you got a good relationship with. But then you got the puppet master that's above everybody manipulating the situations and making their moves.
Right.
You know, and you know, it was weird back then. If any one of us ever was caught jamming or playing with another band, that was taboo, man. You might as well just cheated on me.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like that.
Sure.
You know, when we got back in and we started seeing like, when we came back in, we were still back from recording. And I think the latest thing that was out when we finished music and took our little hiatus was the DAT system was new, and it was like the thing. There are no more reels, you know, tape, and we're like, wow, you know, that's a trip. You could do that. Pro Tools wasn't even there, you know. It wasn't until we came back we were like, holy shit, what happened? Everything's just like
took a jump.
Super fast and super, you know. And it was like, wow, and everybody's jamming in 5 bands and shit. And we're going, how the hell do you capture your sound? You know, but it was in short, it was the old guy going, what the hell is that? Digital telephone? I'm still on my rotary dial. You know what I mean? But technology and things happen quick. And
these movies are talking now.
Yeah, what the hell? Color? No. It was you know, I mean, we weren't totally inept of what was going on, but we just weren't involved with it at the time. You know, Glenn Rogers, the guitarist, we started the reconnection of Heretic with. He brought us up to speed, and God bless him, man. Great guitar player. He's a shredder. You could hear it. We're listening to the intro of that song, and I'm going, wait a minute. And I had to lean over to Tanner and go, oh shit, Glenn was in the band thing. Because you could totally hear him shredding. I go, oh yeah, I totally forgot, you know? Yeah, we never play that song.
Yeah, I know.
Live, and you know, maybe now we will.
Yeah.
BK?
This one goes out to Tanner.
You know, there was a snapshot in the documentary too where you talk about how like when Heretic was starting out, it was sort of, it sucks to say, but I guess it was the end of that metal era. But because now like the 90s and the grunge scene was coming into popularity, and there was a commentary on that, and there wasn't really animosity towards it. It was just, this is the way everything kind of seems to be shifting.
Yeah, it shifts. I mean, it did it when we were starting. We were kind of canceling out punk. Punk was huge. You know what I mean? And it was just, I hate to say it, but it was a reality that really slapped us all and said, fuck, I guess our turn has come, you know?
Yeah.
And the new sounds were great. It was cool. We didn't get it, but you know, that's why you live with the rocket in your back pocket and you party and try to enjoy what you have right then and there. We didn't understand it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a new era, and the powers to be, which are always people that you never see, they decided, okay, here, check it out. And there's plenty of documentaries that come in a radio station and take all the metal and throw it in that pile right there. Dio's documentary, I just seen it, and I went, what the... And it literally happens like that. This is what we're pushing now, you know? And it was coincided with big money and the record companies. You know, that's why they had a fit and try to take it to Congress when Napster came around.
Yeah.
Because now everybody can get it for free.
Yeah.
Or you just get a couple guys that pay for it and they throw it on like YouTube, you know?
It's not a guy making a copy of a cassette. Now it's being distributed at a large scale.
It is. Yeah. It is, you know? And unfortunately, we got to see a lot of this coming back into it, you know?
Yeah.
Went to Europe and you have these meet and greets after you play. So they have a tent there, and I was just shocked that everybody was singing along when we're playing. I'm going, They know. We never came to Europe. We never came. They know our shit. We weren't on videos, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they knew it. I was looking at the crowd when I was singing, and I'm seeing them sing word for word, and I was like, shit, I hope I don't forget my lyrics. I'll just look at somebody's lips. I was literally trying to.
Just turn the mic to the crowd.
Exactly.
thing.
That's the old trick. Hey, you guys know it. Why am I singing?
Of course.
I know the chorus, you know. But no. And when this tent came out, there was hundreds of people in line, and I was really, me and Brian, and we were just stunned, you know. And
did you feel like you were in your 20s again?
You know what? For a brief time, I was just in shock. I was walking around the tent, and
hell yeah,
they're shaking my hand, and there was one collector, and this is when I realized there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of stuff that was out there. There's a lot of reproduction and bootleg. Because one guy, I was only signing the EP. They had the EP, and they had Breaking Point. And they had some other stuff that, you know, Reverend and stuff that Brian and some of the guys were in, and they were signing it. But so I signed the EP. It was obvious. It was, you know, the only thing I was on with Heretic at the beginning. So I signed it, and then they had an interpreter with another guy who had the EP in his hand. And he goes, hey, he wants to know, which one are you? And I go, oh, I sang that. I sang that EP. So I flipped it over, and I go, I'm right.
Wait
and it's Mike Howe.
Oh,
Photoshopped in the middle of...
they went out of their way.
Yeah. And I was like... I'm laughing, and this guy, he's pissed. He don't understand it. And I'm going, this is a bootleg. It's not real. And he was like, what am I saying? Blasphemy, you know? And I go to Brian, I go, come here, Brian. And he goes, oh no. He had to tell the interpreter, and that guy looked like he was deflated. And I didn't want to do that because, you know, you get older, you get softer, you know. When I was 18, I said, you dumbass. You know, but you know, that's just what happens when you have that kind of shit. But yeah, it really blew our minds as we started going through this, like how things are so manipulated, and it's really hard to get a good fair shake in this business anymore. Because when we first released our album, the first time we're going, cool, man, let's see what this does. We put it out there, and I shit you not even when it was released, by the evening, there was somebody put the whole album for free on YouTube, and I was like, how the hell is, you know, why would I pay for this? And I go, and I get it. When I was young, I wouldn't pay for this shit. And I go, right now, I'm frugal as hell. I wouldn't pay, but still, as an artist, you do pay your dues forward and back, you know.
You do.
And you have to realize that. But I understand, you know, if you're young and you can get away with it, why not? You know, they don't understand what's happening with the artists. But anyways, things change.
Well,
you know?
and I think even the industry acknowledges that part of things, where people can get it at pennies, if not for free. And really the money's made, if you're trying to make money, from the shows and the merchandise now. And that's been the case, I think, for now over 10 years. But I'm sure when you're transitioning into that, when you lived in a different world back then, that's got to be a bit of a shock.
It was shocking. It was eye-opening for sure. And we, you know, to this day, we're still kind of like, what the hell? But you know, hey, we do what we love, and as long as there's an audience out there that want to hear what we're doing and interested in the new stuff that we're putting out, hey, we'll just continue making music, you know? Yeah.
Well, getting back to the documentary, Tanner, the editing had to have been the most interesting part of making a documentary, correct? Or what would you say, maybe the most challenging thing to you throughout the entire process?
Well,
aside from maybe getting everybody in a room to interview.
Well, that was like, herding cats is what what us band guys call that. It's an interesting question. So there's two facets, right? The editing, that was kind of new, but I was also editing because I do a podcast on the side at the time, Poppitt's Corner. Yeah. So many Poppitt things.
I've been on that once.
So I was learning how to edit with that. So that was kind of like my basic training ground of how to edit, right? And so that was one. And then the lighting, like see how I'm like glowing orange right now, and there's like shadows. So when doing like a film like this, I don't want the shadows and things. If somebody's doing this, which all of them have their own ticks, God bless you guys, but they have their own ticks, and
this is my tick,
and without us even knowing it, right? We have these things that we do, we just can't control. We just don't know that we're doing it. So to minimize that and not take away from the information that they're releasing out into the camera and the microphone, because I want the story, but the lighting was definitely like a character in itself, where I had to kind of figure out what's going to look the best, what's going to not take away from any of the information that these guys are saying, that's going to help the story and prolong that story and get it to where I need it to go as a film in general. So those two were fundamental in bringing this all together. And again, from the people that have seen it, they all enjoy it. So and I really do appreciate that aspect, that people enjoy it. And for a first time doing something, it's nerve-wracking, just with any art form in general. So the guys had a lot of trust in me. I had a lot of trust in the guys here. So I mean, we'll get into hopefully the little private screening we did at Angela's pad.
Oh yeah.
So maybe we could talk about that as well. But yeah, it's another story in itself. But it was kind of nerve-wracking going through the process. And honestly, man, at a certain point, I said, you know what, I got this.
Yeah.
This is what I'm meant to do. And if when you watch the film, there's like 20 people in it. Mm-hmm. I tried to get no stone left unturned.
Different states. He reached out. We got him information.
I'm like, how did he? Like, that's a feat, man.
And you really marveled me with the speed you did this in. I was like, wait, we're having a viewing? What? He did it? Yeah. And not only that, there's just the lack of material that we had. Live footage, very minimal. Mm-hmm. We have music, of course, but can
you add to it? Just give them the information of the storage unit.
Oh, yes. Dennis O'Hara, he collected a lot of material. He had a lot of material that he left at my house. He got put out from one place, and he had nowhere to put his stuff. Fortunately, at the time, I had a empty double storage shed in my backyard, and he stored it there. And I said, I'm going to be selling this and I'm moving on, so it could be good here for a month or so, and then come get it.
Yeah,
figure it out what you're going to do. Now, he was writing a book, and he had all his writings in there, his thoughts, and all this memorabilia, all this live stuff, photos. And when it came time for me to transfer and get out of my house, I told him, I go, hey bro, I'm moving, you come down and get it. He couldn't make it down or whatever, so I told him, dude, I'm gonna rent this ridiculous storeroom to put my stuff and your stuff in it. I go, but I could only do so much,
Mm-hmm.
And long story short, it was just a burden. I mean, with everything that was going on, I actually lost that storage facilities, and unfortunately lost everything that Dennis owned at that point.
Yeah.
And same thing happened to Brian, because Brian had a lot of stuff too that he had jackets, he had all sorts of stuff that that the documentary could have used, and it doesn't, not that it doesn't take away from what the documentary is, because considering what we had to work with, we did the best we could, but it would have been nice to see what was in those storage facilities,
totally.
And
we'll never know.
We'll never know.
We'll never know.
Yeah.
Because when you're a kid back then, they were trying to charge you what, $24-$30 to videotape VHS your show.
Yeah.
And we're like, we ain't paying that, dude. We ain't $30. What the heck? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you never think about that, Well, not when you're 18 and you're fucking heads this big, and
Yep.
well, not including our hair, but I'm kidding. But
so what? And just another point of reference here too is what he's talking about. You know, the film was done in 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't done in 2 years.
Yes,
That's a quick turnover.
yeah, real quick.
6 months.
Yeah, Tanner, you're a magician, dude. I can tell you that.
So I think with that is like having that drive just to get something done, you know, for another entity that certainly deserves it. That was the motivation. And honestly too, man, I got to point this out, that when we had the meeting of, hey, I want to do a film on you guys, and 4 out of the 5 guys look at you going, yeah, and then one guy's going shaking his head, and I'm like, okay, that's the guy. That's what. And that was Stu. Sorry about that, buddy. But you know, that's what kind of gave me the motivation to like, hey, let's get this done.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So,
but you get that reaction out of Stu anyways. Whenever you put a proposition on the table, he was good. Well, you know.
No, he didn't.
But he's always on board. I call Stu our 3M. He'll listen. He'll get it all in. I know he has to go home and do homework. I mean, this guy, he'll just shit something out at the last minute or second of recording. It's beyond everything, and I go, dude, where the hell have you been? We practiced for months.
Yeah.
And here it comes out in the studio, and I go, that's why I call Stu our 3M. He just makes every product that we do that much better.
Right. So, yeah, but that's definitely that was the motivation for me, was actually Stu trying to prove him wrong. So
we're right on.
Throughout the years, there's been lineup changes with the band, and so how have these changes influenced? Do you, in your opinion, like the style, the music, the lyrics? What do you think about that?
You know what? It just subjects change as you go on, of course. Like in the 80s, times were different, and unfortunately, well, fortunately or unfortunately, heavy metal as we knew it, it was all political. You know, it's all about politics.
Okay.
And whether you paid attention to it or not, but if you break it down and you listen to the lyrics, it's all about the man against you, or this against that. You know what I mean? And or some kind of a fantasy story, but it's all wrapped into that category. But as we got older, we try to keep that reality of what's happening, because now we know different, and try to keep it very simple and equal. So you could take this or you could take that, you know, and impartial. You got to be impartial. Yeah. You can't be a dictator, you know. But you just try to make fun of it, you know, and kind of enlighten, but yet just poke at it and say, it doesn't matter, you know, just.
Yeah, you're still a troublemaker at heart.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. You know, we're older. We're still a little rambunctious, but when you're a kid, man, you're invincible. You know,
of course,
you're invincible. Ain't nothing can touch you. I'm gonna say what I want, and you say it louder. You say it higher. You say it. You know, you'll scream it to the world. Yeah. And nothing changes. You know, because when I'm off the mic and I'm off stage, I'm a totally different person. You know, but. That 1 hour of me getting to be myself without any reservation, man, that's the best time of my life. I pay for it the next morning, but but dang, you know what's ironically what was the surprise to me and Brian is how much our music makes you bounce in a like a prone riding position, because you get off and your legs are done. You're just, your legs are going, dude, I didn't even run. But no.
But your calves are getting a workout.
Your calves, your quadriplex, everything, man. Yeah. But no, you know what? Things really haven't really changed. I mean, the music has changed. I noticed that. The style of singing has changed. There's some melody on the new stuff, but a lot of it's more core. Yeah. You know, and I get it, man. That's just the next generation, you know. Yeah. So when we got together, Brian said, you know what, let's just do this like we never left. We'll come in with our sound, but we'll make it modern, but yet we'll keep the old sound and make it look like we never left, but yet because we're going to tell the people in the world we have unfinished business. Which 3 albums later, we're still doing it, and apparently Brian's still writing like a machine. If I didn't slow things down, Brian will write 20 songs for a 10-song album, or he'll do 30, and I have no doubt. And then he don't even stop with just metal. He'll, whatever he feels at the time, he'll write it down. He's got notebooks, he's got tapes, he does his own recording at home, puts his own drums in.
And you guys just filter it out from there?
And no, what Brian would do is go, hey, check it out. I got these ideas. Let's get together, and I'll listen to it, and I'll just go, dude, that's brilliant. And he'll go, well, check it out. I wrote some lyrics for some content. And he'll just kind of go, well, what were you kind of thinking? And a lot of times me and Brian think the same, Melody-wise, it's pretty much on. And then he gives me that ability to change things. If I feel like I need to go this way when I'm singing, he'll let me change things, or we'll just chop it up. And then when we get it to the guys, they ingest it, we put it out, and then there's more suggestions, and we'll change. We kind of throw it out there. But Brian's the main source of writing. Angelo's been taking his course into throwing some stuff out there for us. And together, we usually work on an Angelo riff or an Angelo thought, and then they'll get the music going, and then I got to write a subject to whatever Angelo names the song. And I go, dude, really? I got to write a song? Like, what was the one, the first album? No, second album. Second album, it was called Falling. No, not Falling. Man, I'm so bad with these shit, man.
Beneath the Fall?
Oh, yeah, Before the Fall.
Before the Fall.
There you go.
Before the Fall. And I go, that's the name of the song? You got a title off of just a riff?
It's a great song, too.
And I go, all right, I'll write something. And I'm going, well, what can be falling? Before the fall, before what? And me as an old dude, I'm going, the stock market? And I'm thinking like investment wise, I'm going, no, don't be an idiot. And I'm just thinking, and then just the simplicity, man. Once you start breaking it down into simple thoughts, that's the easiest thing. Because sometimes you get too complicated with the music, and the only people that really appreciate it and get it are other musicians.
Yep.
And unfortunately, a lot of bands fall into that. And it's great, because that's some great art. And especially if you get appreciated by your peers, is always a bonus. But I had to simplify it because the riff wasn't too intricate, but the guys put something really brilliant right out there musically. So I go, I got to get something that means something, but more just simple and direct. And I just made it about a guy jumping off his building and everything going through his brain just before the fall and as it's happening, and bring it back, And I was just like, wow, where'd that come from? But I was just thinking, just think simple, more shit comes out, and that's just my advice is make shit simple.
Of course. Now, before we pressed record here, guys, I asked if there was a couple of other songs that I should be playing, and so there was Power of Persuasion and Whitechapel. I'd like to play one of those. What do you think?
Let's go to the beginning. This was my actual first recording in the studio, and it was the actual first take, only because I went into the studio with laryngitis. And then they wouldn't change the date for me, and undisclosed on the documentary. I was set to record weeks before, but someone had problems getting his thing recorded, and it took way longer than it should have, and it bumped me out, which bumped me into the weekend, which bumped me into laryngitis, being out late night. And wake up with that, oh shit, kind of thing. Hey, can we change it? No, everything was set. The studios were already bought. So I just told them, you know what? Let's get this out of the way, because I kind of feel good right now, because I nursed myself through that whole night, through the morning, even up into the studios with just steam, tea, herbs, and got there. And I said, this is going to be the hardest song just because of the scream. Let's get the scream out of the way. And it was a first take scream. And after that, that was it. My voice was shot, and we had to record the EP, and that's unfortunately was my downfall on that.
And the irony of it is, it was also like the first tune to be debuted on a radio station.
Yeah, KNEC when it was on FM. Yeah.
Right on. Let's hear it. Hell yeah. Whitechapel, man, by Heretic. So, while we were listening to the song, Tanner, you mentioned that you had like 60 hours recorded for this documentary before you had to edit it down?
That was just the interviews.
That was just the interviews.
So then I had to do the photos, what videos I had. I would go out to see them rehearse. I would take videos there, and then they would play live, and I would thankfully have backstage passes or whatever, and could film where I needed to film and put that in the documentary. And yeah, dude, but I was editing as I was going, so it streamlined the whole process of putting it together.
Yeah,
you know, that's the only way it would have gotten done in the time frame that I wanted it to get done in.
Yeah,
you know? That's why it didn't take 3 years for this thing to come out. It took months instead of years. So.
Well, that was smart. Like, when did you realize that you had to edit as you went? Or was this just like your original plan to begin with anyway?
So the first interview I think I did for it was Sean. I can't remember. Yes, because the terrible lighting issue. Yeah. So that first interview, it's weird how you remember weird things like that. It's, you know, because basically I had lighting issues with Sean, and I was editing just his interview only. And I'm like, you know what? This is how I'm going to do this. Mm-hmm. I'm going to edit as I go, because I'm like, I have 6 other interviews scheduled within the next 2 weeks or whatever it was. Ridiculous. Yeah. And so then I would do the interview next day, boom, boom, boom. And it would take me hours to do a 3-hour thing, because I would cut it into 1 to 2 to 3 to 5 minute segments, and then put it into different categories, all the topics, the timeline. You know, I had to build it. And then when I got to the final stages, and I can't remember the last interview, I think it was Brian. I think I saved the best for last, which was Brian. Yeah. And love you, Brian, but he didn't remember a heck of a lot. Okay. So I relied a lot more on, although in the film you can't even tell.
No,
you couldn't
pretty
even tell. Brian was all like, "Oh, I don't remember a heck of a lot," and I'm like, "Yeah, but so in doing that, by that time, all I had to do was edit one interview, as opposed to 20 interviews.
Yeah.
So at that time, I edited his, and then I started editing the actual project, and it took about 2 weeks to actually edit, and I had like 30 or 40 versions of it, because I was like, I would watch it and I go, you know what, this needs this here, or this information here, or hey guys, I need this from you. And I would literally call the guys. I would literally call Angelo especially, and Julian and Brian, and I would say, hey, do you have this? And Julian, I think one time I was like, do you have photos of the first band because he was talking about the first band he was in, and mentioned, all these other guys that were, and it's actually in the film, but I was going, man, it'd be really cool if I could have access to some of that stuff that nobody's ever seen. And by golly, he pulled it out. I don't know where he got it, but he pulled it out. So there's that kind of stuff that was really interesting. So as I was editing, as I was going, just ideas started popping in my head, and photos, videos, anything I would ask them. And sure as shit, they would have it 90% of the time.
Nice.
So it was really cool. That was a cool...
A lot of those photos out of my side were, thank God for Facebook and friends, because they post stuff and I would always screenshot and put it in a folder. Mm-hmm. So I knew I had some old pictures and stuff, and we keep in contact with. One of the first bands that I ever started playing with actually was the beginning. Well, Brett Erickson, he was the guitar player and one of the founders of Viking, who also went from Viking and actually sat in with Dark Angel for a tour or so. And I'm not sure if he recorded with them. He did, huh? And then he just kind of fell off the face of the earth. And me and Brett were tight back then, He was the only kid that had a house to himself. His dad was always working. His mom was always gone. He lived in Redondo Beach in this 2-story house, and he had a bitch in cars because his dad's company was actually a car restoration. Oh, okay. So we'd be driving around these old Jags and stuff, and I was going, damn, we're like 17 years old, 16 years old, cruising in these classic cars down the Strand and shit, and Hollywood, and it was a trippy time, man. But yeah, I just remember somebody had posted an old photo of all of us. And matter of fact, our drummer, we call him Birdie, he's in, I think he's still in a band with Glenn right now.
Primal. Or is it?
No, the other one.
Final Decree?
Final Decree.
Got it.
Yeah. That and I go, wow, we just kind of did this full 40-year-old circle, you know? And it's kind of interesting because I think we might mention something in the documentary that all the musicians in the South Bay where we were from, we all interacted somehow, some way to create where we actually sat in the realm of music. And we've all jammed and known each other as we were playing, you know? And just ironically, as we left the South Bay, started doing the Hollywood thing and then started moving outwards, we'd run into each other all the time. But we were hometown friends, rivals, or whatnot. But when you're out of town, you're friends, you're not rivals. But back then, like I said, it was a dog-eat-dog thing, man.
Yeah. Man, it's a small world, I take it, when you're in that niche. And so you kind of know everybody. And, you know, especially for somebody like you, Tanner, being a musician, now being a filmmaker, being a podcaster as well, it's like podcasters these days are like in the old times when people used to make zines for bands, you know. It's just like now you get to hear the person talk about these bands that you know and love. And you kind of just put yourself in that scene and people appreciate you for it.
Yeah, I would say I'm more appreciated now as a filmmaker than I am a musician. Which is unfortunately, which is very interesting because I'll give you a perfect example of this. So, like, we did a premiere for the Heretic film, right?
Yeah.
And with all of our support, and we sold the fucker out in 3 weeks. Well, literally 3 weeks. I mean, that's for a movie theater. Who the fuck goes to the movies anymore? You know, let alone that could sell it out in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, and people were clamoring over, hey, how do I get tickets? Oh, you missed out. And people were pissed. Like generally, Angela would be sending me these messages like of people that were kind of pissed off. And I said, well, we warned everybody in advance. Did you just not get the messages to like, oh,
no urgency,
all the pre-sales and all that? Come on.
I mean, did you not believe us when we said, hey, this is going to sell out? You know, so it's examples like that, and that's a testament to the band too, right?
Of course.
But as a filmmaker, you know, when I did my first shows, like I wasn't selling them out. You know what I mean? Like that was so. Maybe it's a visual thing because having like a visual aspect that's actually has integrity to go along with it is severely missing today. You know, because everything's really fake. It just is. And also, we didn't pour $300 million into a movie. Right. You know, we did it grassroots level, and so it's recognized from people, and even the sideshow film that's coming out in the next couple weeks, like that was done grassroots level, and people are really excited. I hear it all the time. Never about the band. It's always, oh man, looking forward to the Heretic film, or looking forward to the sideshow film, or you know, occasionally you'll get the the one-offs, like they remember seeing the band live or whatnot, or the big fans of the band. But yeah, it's been way more. Like I appreciate you as a filmmaker, and even the people that were at one point in the metal scene or still are, they behind the scenes are actually like really supportive of people that are the new people that came from the metal scene that are doing films. Like it's looked on from the peers as like a very
like you're giving back.
Well, not only that, but like what you're doing is like really important. Because in a band, you feel like, oh, this is the most important thing to me, and then nobody else gives a shit. And so when you're a filmmaker, maybe again it's because with my films in general, I tried to reach the biggest audience. Like I didn't want this to just appeal to the heavy metal fan, and I don't think it does.
It doesn't.
I think it appeals. That's why we had so many like other types of people at the premiere, even though it was family members.
It tells a cool story.
But I had their family members coming up to me, like I'm talking Angelo's mom, these 80-year-olds, 7-year-olds.
Yeah, my grandson was there.
Yeah, and he thanked me profusely. And your sons, like they all came up to me and was like, "You did an outstanding job. Like this is really awesome. Really appreciate you doing this."
Yeah.
And even Brian's kids, so everybody's been super supportive of that. And I think it's obviously it is a testament to the band, but also having a visual aspect now to represent them the way that I wanted to represent them, because they do a lot of interviews. None of them, they're all bad audio, bad video, a lot of them. Yeah. And I wanted to properly represent the band.
Digestible material.
Well, like something that's going to last more than just like a crappy interview done on a patio of a venue where you can hear loud noises.
All the other bands.
The police bands are playing.
The sirens are in the background and everything.
And going to your point initially, you mentioned it. It's like they were a big deal in the 80s. I wasn't around for it, but just hearing the stories, it's like, why isn't this band getting the proper representation? So in order to be to have change, you got to be the change, and that's what I did.
Yeah,
I wanted to represent them properly, and
Tanner's always been our biggest advocate. He's always
one of them. There's others.
There's others.
Mike Gibbons is
but whenever he would see like shit go down, like newspaper interviews or magazine interviews saying, this band did so great and all this, but yet the whole time they're asking us to join their thing together and then burn us and then not even mention us. And Tanner would be the first one to go, "Hey, wait a minute, you guys played that show, right? Because I was there."
Yeah.
And you know what I mean?
I do remember that.
Yeah, there's a lot of old animosity that still travels, and I want to say, I'm not sure if it was our band itself. It was never the band. Our guys have always been really, really true as far as being real close to the fans and appreciating that. Because that's our biggest gift, man, is when somebody comes and tells us, fuck, that's more than money. You know what I mean, to us, because now we appreciate it, you know? Especially at a time when you looked like us at that time and everybody was different,
right?
Yeah, and then they'd look down on you and they'd always shit on you, you know. And when you're doing something that somebody appreciates, it always made it that much better. So that was always cool. But like I said, the machine behind you, and we had a pretty big machine growing that was happening, and I think they really did. A lot of people may have done them wrong, be it visually while we were playing or having done backdrops behind them opening up in front of our set and stuff like that. Wow. It was always a nitpick little shit that people would always, and it'd mainly be the roadies. They would fuck with the other bands, like unplugging their mic cords and they're singing with full on, because they know they got recordings up in the studio booth that they just put a recording for everybody to sound great. And these guys are singing and there's the mic cords just hanging, so everybody knows that they're really not singing. It's just outing people. It used to be like that, you know. I forget that fucking Leatherwolf, man. They were notorious for setting up their big ass drums and shit in front of him, and they wouldn't strike for shit, and they would cover their drums with polka dot pink and light blue shit to make your set look like shit.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And it was just always games. It was games.
Man,
and I think my
very
band
little has changed over years, because that's happened to me recently.
But what he's saying is from the years ago. Yeah. It's still happening today.
I think those bands are still doing it, because we still play with some of those bands we did back in the day.
Okay.
And we'll like. For instance, we played a gig stages. I'll never say the band because I love the singer. He's an old friend of mine, but we happen to be playing the gig, and his bandmates, and I don't know whether it was intentional or not, but we're already playing. There's two stages. They're setting up, and we're playing. We're right there in mid-concert, and all of a sudden I'm hearing a guitar tuning in fucking full volume. I'm going, what the fuck? So I stop. And I see a guy on stage with his guitar, and I said the wrong guy because the other dude had a wireless system, and he's in the green room tuning his guitar full blast through the shit, and I'm going
with his rig on.
I go, hey, should we just stop and wait for you to tune or some shit like that? You know, what the fuck?
This is at Stages?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it's what, like 50 feet apart from each other?
Yes. And I was just going, what the shit like that. And it still carried on from back then. So I don't know if they're still happening. And the one gig I said where they choose not to announce that we played it, but yet they called us and asked us to do it with them to make it a big a draw, an event. You know, it was written by the singers. The article was written by the singer of that other band, and we got shit like that from all these old school guys.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the fuck it is because we ain't trying to take money out of your fucking pocket, dude. Just be fair.
Well,
man.
is it more of like a stupid or liar type of conundrum? Like, are they just stupid, or are they like really trying to fuck with you?
Yeah, I think they're really trying to fuck with us. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I'm not gonna lie, sugarcoat that shit anymore. Because at this point, I've already seen too much shit.
Of course.
And already dealt with them for this last. What have we been doing this for 12 years now? Since you got back.
Since you got back, yeah.
12, 13.
Yeah, 2011.
And you when you first happens to you and you're back in, you're just happy you're there, but yet at the same time you're really going, wait a minute, this guy just tried to fuck with me? You know what I mean? But you don't really want to understand it because you don't want people to, you don't understand why people are like that.
Sure.
First of all.
Yeah.
You know, because reality is, man, we're such a small, eclectic group of the music business. And that's why you can hold an actual convention in a hotel, a large hotel, but you can have the major acts there and have a convention with it, you know? And that's how small we are to the music business. But yet to have a few of those dudes really fuck with somebody, it's really lame because, you know, it's just it just is.
I think it has to do a lot to do with jealousy. That's just my opinion.
Of course,
right?
Yeah.
But again, now they're legitimized. In my opinion, once you reach a point to where it's like, hey, give it to your grandkids. Look what Grandpa did. It's all now. It's documented. So like that's.
I thank you, Tanner.
You know, I think it legitimized. I wanted to legitimize the band in some sort of way. You know, because back in high school, I was listening. Reverend was one of my go-to bands. That Play God record. That, man, you want to talk? Everyone the iPod was new. I was still rocking the cassettes, so I was still buying cassettes.
You had a Walkman?
I had a Walkman and big old headphones. I was that weird kid walking around that knew all the jocks, knew all the nerds. I was I was the glue. I was just going everywhere, and nobody would fuck with me. Yeah. So I would listen to, I was the cool kid. Everyone was copying me. It was
awesome.
And so when you get to give back to a band that gave to you and at a certain stage in your life, like it's really powerful.
Yeah.
And these guys didn't even know that. But that's a huge reason why I wanted to give back. The whole Metal Church, it's my all-time favorite metal band. So I know people who got to play with some of those players. Like that means a lot to me, and they're now my friends, and I got to, again, give back to a great band. It's had a lot of history that's severely underdocumented until now. So,
and man, after such a long hiatus that you all had, what was it like to try to just get back into it? I mean, there had to have been like a rev up point.
Yeah.
What was that like? Especially if you're trying to harken back to the sound from back then too, and not changing so much. That came up in the documentary as well.
Yes, it did. It did. Brian had this idea, and I completely, when I retired, I completely just left music. I didn't even think about writing and I'd pick up a guitar, but I'd play folk tunes. Because I didn't even want to try to do a bar chord or anything like that. Sure. Because, I actually joined this little group in my hometown, Gardena, a blues get-together. Yeah. And I would sing the blues, and I would be happy as hell, man. Because I wasn't thinking I was just having fun. You know what I mean? I was just having fun, and after that, then there was just a period of trying to refine myself and where I now need to belong. And it wasn't that hard to do because, you know, I did have a son at the time when I was in the middle of going through Heretic. He was a young man. He was 2 years old, and now he's pretty much coming up to his middle age, you know, and he's a great kid. Both my sons are good, and I just kind of locked myself into just being a father. Yeah, you know, and you know, I always had work. Even when I was a Heretic, I was always busy with my hands, and I actually been a carpenter ever since before Heretic, and I still do that to this day. I work for Los Angeles County, you know, and I'm getting ready to retire here in the next couple years, if not sooner. But music is always going to play with me. It always has been with me, even though I left it, and I didn't even try to record or do anything. I joined the little blues get together, and we're doing that weekly, and then I find myself just tapping all the time, you know, and making beats and whistling, and not even knowing that I'm doing it, you know. So people always
part of your nature now.
Yeah, people were just going, "What the fuck? You know, why are you always tapping, dude? You got a click or something?" I go, "No, I'm just thinking of beats and melodies and whatnot." And eventually, you know, I got a guitar and I started just playing. And my sons, I got them guitars. They started playing, but I never really checked them out. They got bands going on. They did their thing. And my younger son, I was out of state when he started playing his first gig, and I fucking killed myself for missing that first gig, man. But they're actually, both my sons are accomplished guitar players. They're excellent guitar players, but they don't have that passion. They don't care to be in the band or anything. They'll write, and they like to come bring the guitars over to the old man's house and make me sing for them. You know?
Make them play.
And it's great, but it took a while for me to really realize and actually getting married to the right woman who I'm with over 20 years today, who didn't even know that I was a musician, didn't even know I had a band past or anything. I was just a man with 2 sons, and she was a woman with 3 daughters, and we just kind of got together and helped each other, you know, just like any healthy relationship. Of course. Got to help each other. And one day, my son, this was back, what was it? It's in the documentary. It was back MySpace, I think it was.
Okay, yeah.
He had a MySpace, and he goes, "Hey, Dad, I'm going to put some of your old music on."
That's right.
And I go, "Yeah, you could do it if you find." He goes, "No, I got some stuff," and he put it on there, and he was getting hits. Yeah. And one guy reached out to him. He goes, "Hey, Dad, there's this guy that's trying to reach you, man. He wants it. He says he knows you." "Who is he?" He goes, "Glenn Rogers." And I was thinking, I go, "Fuck, I know Glenn Rogers." I go, "Yeah, you know, whatever." So they reached out to me through Glenn because Brian wasn't into MySpace or any of that. He got on Facebook for a while, but it's so polluted for Brian. Brian is very an absorbent soul, man. He's I call him my hippie star child, but that's just me because he absorbs everybody's energies, and if the energy's wrong, he just it fucks with him. So he just rather not deal with it. That's why he was on Facebook for a while, and then he's gone. It was just getting too negative.
It is polluted. Yeah,
it is. And God bless Brian for that. That's why he's able to write the way he does, man. Some of the lyrics, most of the lyrics, I'm going to say about 99% of the lyrics are Brian's, and they're great, you know. That's why I was always telling him, even when I got kicked out of the band, Brian and Jim Eller, he was our tour manager and head of the roadies. He'd make sure everything was packed. That guy he was a machine. He was a monster. Nobody fucked with Jim back then. You know, still to this day, he's still, you know, we were older, but he's still got a bark. But Jim and Brian, they used to come see me all the time when I went transitioned from Heretic into a Stone Soldier, which is it was a blessing, but it was my, how would I say it? because I don't want to offend nobody in Soldier, because I don't like to offend anybody anyways, you know.
Yeah.
You'll see in this documentary, I got nothing but great things to say to people. Even though I do have some shit and all that stuff, it's not necessary.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but Stone Soldier was my knee-jerk reaction from getting dumped from my old lady to getting a hot chick. You know what I mean? And these guys were on my ass forever, man. And they were running with the same crowd as my managers and Armored Saint and all those guys. So I go, you know what, dude? I'm in. You know? And they were faster, harder, aggressive. And when the Heretic finished, I didn't even realize that Mike had already left. I told them what was going to happen because it was told to me. And it did. They didn't believe me when I told them, and it did. But yet, Brian and Jim, basically in my mind, was the head of Heretic at that time. They were always backing me and supporting me, and actually went on my road trip when I left Stone Soldier to go jam with a band called Laughing Dead up in Frisco, Oakland. And from there, they were good friends with guys from Exodus, and I was laughing when I turned off the freeway here off Mountain, and I turned on Holt. I went, Gary Holt. Right. I was living with Gary, and I was flying back and forth from Los Angeles to Oakland with John Tempesta, who was in Exodus at that time.
Wow.
And you know, we got a great group of friends who we all, like I said, intermingle. It goes kind of like the neighborhood guys, like I said, in the South Bay. But now when you're in the bigger picture, it's the same thing. It's a bigger circle.
Yeah.
But you all intermingle because somebody knows somebody of this guy and this guy and this guy, and we all come together at one point in time.
And the fact that they let, you know, a pipsqueak like me in now, you know, it says a lot.
Of course.
You know, the next generation. It says a lot about them as people. You know, it's not easy to just like bring somebody in and accept them and like that's, you know, thank you for that. Because on a lot of, again, when I was starting out, I didn't have the opportunities that I have now. I didn't have the connections. So, you know, just thanks so much.
Tanner, that's just because of your hard work and who you are, your integrity, and the fact that you can just come up out of nowhere and just start talking and know what you're saying or want to be said. And that holds a lot. You know, that holds a lot. And you look at this as a testimony. You transitioned from being a young man, running your school,
to an old man,
to getting a band together, putting your albums out, doing the tour, taking care of all that, and then doing your iPod, your podcast, and the FM station that you were doing. I was going, this kid is burning himself to both ends of the candle. But you know what? He wasn't a kid. He's a man. Look at this guy, man. And now he's a director,
writer,
filmmaker,
director,
everything.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, the speed he did it, which really shocked me.
Yeah.
You know, because I do have friends who are work for Universal, who are,
and I didn't know that.
Produced. Penelope Spears. Hello, darling. I haven't seen you in a long time, but yeah, she made all those greats, you know?
Yeah.
Wayne's World.
Little Rascals.
Little Rascals, yeah. And, you know, and it just shows who your character is.
Oh, thank you.
And
you.
That's a no-brainer. When you could see talent comes in many forms, but when you can see the dude knows what he's talking about. It's
authentic.
Yeah, and it's true.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
For sure.
All the trust.
And that's a great plug for this thing, because that's all it is integrity, and it's true. Right?
Yeah, even though my wife didn't like a couple things, but I said, hey, honey, they were just saying what they thought at the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything. You know, it doesn't. That was back then. Who cares?
Well, see, and going back, I wanted to just touch upon this too, was the premiere, the private screening that we had. I don't know if this is in your notes. I'm sorry. Is it in your notes?
No.
Okay.
Oh, we'll find out.
So when I was closer to being done with the film, like when it was like 99.99999, that little, you know.
Yeah.
When I was at that stage, I get in touch with Angelo and I basically, my idea was, hey, let me show the band first. Because if they don't like it, then I won't release it. Okay. And that's really like, I made them that commitment. Because when I approached them in the rehearsal, I said, if you don't like it, I won't release it. I think I literally said that in the rehearsal to make them feel more comfortable and you know, like I wanted to do this properly. Anyway, so I ring up Angelo and say, hey, can we do this? He calls up the rest of the guys. And again, you heard him. He was shocked. Yeah, and I think like 2 weeks later, we had the premiere private screening in Angelo's house, much like this, right? This room, whatever. There was like 12, 13, 14 people crammed in a room with a fucking 70-inch TV. It looked like the TV was falling off the wall there.
Yeah, and Angelo's not blind. That's just vanity. I'm kidding.
So when that screening happened, you know, pretty much what Angelo did is he set up chairs up, and there's a couch. So the couch is way in the back, and the you know. So but he put me in the middle, and it's Brian and Stu and me in the middle. So you put me in between the two biggest guys, where they could have just reached in and gave me a knock on the noggin there, and I would have been out cold. So, you know, it was kind of intimidating because it was like, I hope these guys like it. And so when the film started, I was like, fuck, I hope everybody likes this. And then towards the end of it, I got some laughs from some of you guys, and I was like, okay, they're digging it. And then when the final scene happens of Brian talking, because I wanted to end it with Brian talking, because I mean, it just,
he's the man.
I did it on purpose because it's basically his thing, and I wanted him to have the final say. And so when that scene happens, and I'm looking over at Brian, I'm looking over at Stu, I'm looking over everybody here, it's like, okay, we made it. Now let's see what happens. And so the scene ends, and everybody starts clapping, and that was a really big moment for me. It was like, the guys like it. So even if nobody else liked it, the guys like it. And that was, again, that meant a lot to me. So it was very intimidating, I gotta say. And with that too, it gave me more confidence to, like, you know, like I know my shit.
Yeah.
I know what
validation.
Yeah. Because
that you do.
And it was my first time. So you gotta excuse that kind of hesitation, because it's, you know, again, with your first anything, it's intimidating. So, but when the guys that you're doing the film on actually dig it, that speaks volumes. So it's easier now to, like, hey, let's have a premiere and have, you know, hundreds of people that we don't know come out and watch it. And it didn't matter if they didn't dig it. And that's another thing too, was you guys were huge in the on that screen, man. That screen was fucking massive.
Yeah, it was a big ass screen. I'm going, God, my head's not big enough. Look at that fucking thing.
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, just to kind of tie a bow on all of this, looking ahead, what are there any plans for Heretic in the future in terms of new music, tours?
Yes, well, as far as tours, I'm still working on getting proper representation to get us out there.
Okay.
We're wrapping up the recording end of it. I got vocals to do. We got some choruses to do. I think we're down another 4 songs, and they're going to be our biggest songs that we've ever put out. So this album, it's got a lot of everything in it, including the new direction. You know, this is our breakout, and we're just going to keep doing what we do from this point on, you know, because we already established the reconnect, and now we're moving forward, you know. But we'll always be ourselves. We're always going to be very melodic. We'll try to be conforming to the new, but yet we listen to everything, you know. We listen to everything. So we try to give the props where props are due, and we'll say, hey, this is our ode to this band, this is our ode to this band, and we'll give the props when we need to. You know, when we first did it, we were going, let's keep it old school, let's do this. And the song that we did was more in line with Motorhead, and that was what song was that in Tanner?
Child of War?
Child of War, yeah. Yeah, just because of the guitar rawness and sound. And I know Lemmy would never sing the way I sang that song, but it was in that genre.
Same vein.
Yeah, that same vein. With understanding that was definitely trying to get a dirty Motorhead sound,
Sure.
you know. And yeah, I give them props every time when we play that song, because they are the ones who gave us the motivation to continue playing, as well as other bands. And I'll never say that this band didn't do that, even though in the early days people were telling us, you can't say this in an interview, don't admit this in an interview, don't say this, including don't say you have a kid, don't say this and this, you know what I mean? What the fuck, all these rules, man. You know, all right, cool. So, you know, I could never say that one of my favorite bands, and I told this recently, well, not recently, when did we play with Armored Saint over there at Anaheim? That was
like 2000, no, that was like 2008, 18, 19.
Holy shit, man.
Yeah, that was before 2020.
See how old I'm getting? But anyways.
Because Pops went out to it.
Oh, that's right. And
I was recording.
Yeah, I got to sit with those guys. I've known those guys for years. I've known them, since I was 16. You know, and matter of fact, there was times when I was working out of state, and I'd hear on the radio, "Holy shit! Did they say Armored Saint's playing over at this place?" And I'd go to this like gator farm somewhere in some fucking strip mall and in some back fucking country thing, and they'd have a trailer with an arrow that goes, "Hey," and it'd be like block letters, Armored Saint. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and you go in this strip mall and you're like, what the fuck is this? It's an industry mall, you know, and there'd be a sign on the door, $20, all the beer you can drink. And I go, fuck yeah.
That's
you know what I mean? Yeah. So I'd be there and these guys would be walking in, everybody'd be trying to get their attention. I just waited against the wall, and at one point they walked by, John walked by, but he kind of get a second look, but he was getting pushed. And then it was, I think it was Gonzo. Gonzo walked by and he stopped and he took a couple steps back, looked at me, he goes, grabbed me and pulled me in. And the guys were going, what the fuck are you doing here? I go, I heard you guys were playing this. This is my favorite place. I came all the way from LA. You know, we were like Houston or some shit like that. No, we known each other for a long time, but I actually told him this last time around, I go, dude, all these years management said I couldn't fucking say anything to you guys and all that. And I told him, John, whether you knew it or not, you were my mentor. You know, and he was like the bigger brother that always give me advice. Matter of fact, even that night, he came out after, and we were getting ready to leave, and he came out this side stage thing, and he goes, hey, Julian. He was looking for me while they were getting ready to play, and when he finished, so I came back, and he goes, hey, this is the trick, and he showed me this humidifier, and I was like, he's still fucking mentoring me. Fucking John. I love this guy, man.
That's what he does.
He's a beautiful man. He is. He's a great dude. And all those guys, man, they were always cool, you know. They were always, and I seen them when we played, they'd always be on the side. They'd catch as much as they can before they had to run back and get themselves ready, you know. And you know, other places I'd catch them when they weren't even playing. We'd be playing and I'd see a few of them out and checking us out. But I told him, I go, dude, you guys were a big fucking factor to me doing what I'm doing, because you pulled me out of the bullshit, you know. Otherwise, I would have just been another Vato fucking in a gang. And that's where it was. That's where I was headed, you know. And it was easy to do because the writing was already on the wall and the seats were already set. But they made my mind go elsewhere, and I went out of that comfortability, because in a gang, dude, you don't want to leave your neighborhood,
right?
And if you do, it's on a mission, and who knows you're coming back, you know.
True, yeah.
This way, I was going, fuck, the world got a lot bigger for me, you know.
Totally,
it really did. And I told him, hey, thank you guys, man, I really do.
And you pursued a passion that was in you,
and it was, you know. I mean, my parents were musicians, you know. My mom was a singer, my dad was a musician. He played clarinet and accordion, and well, he's from Texas. So he had to have accordion in there somewhere. Of course. but yeah, you know, and they were, and Joey was like, "Wow, dude," he goes, "That's fucking great," and I'm going, "No, that's fucking great. Thank you for doing that, man. You guys gave me the opportunity with my band Heretic. Heretic really gave me the opportunity, and just knowing them, that fucking really made my perspective's a lot broader, and realizing when I came back home, what the fuck are you thinking about? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I just stayed away, you know. I just stayed away and just continued with the music, and I still got my friends that are alive, those who made it.
Yeah.
But you know, and it's a weird situation, but you never know what's gonna take you on your different path of what you think you're supposed to be, you know. And music is a good vehicle to do that, you know. It could bring you to the past or it could take you to the future. You know, you never know. So that's why I love music, and it's always in my system. But I was going back to that story with my wife. She had a tech come fix her computer at her desk, and my son had a little picture that he had of me in my Heretic garb back in the day. And she put it there. She was going, "Man, you had long hair?" Yeah. She put it on her desk, and one of the techs walked by, and he was working, and he kept looking. He goes, "You know a heretic?" And she's all, "What?" So, "You know a heretic?"
Yeah.
And she goes, "That's my husband." "You married a heretic?" And she's like, "What the fuck is this guy?" You know what I mean? And he goes, "You don't know?" So he got on the computer and showed her, and she just came home with these big ass eyes, and I'm going, "What the fuck did I do?"
What did I do this time?
Yeah, I'm like, "What the fuck did I do?" You know, she's just, I go, "What? What?" And she goes, "Who are you?" I go, "Oh, fuck." I was like, "Your husband?" She's all, "Look." And I go, yeah. "Why did you say anything?" I go, "You know, that was my past."
That was a long time ago, yeah.
That was my past, you know. And she kept on, you got to try to do something. You got to do something. You can't just,
it's awesome that she was supportive.
Yeah, and she was, and I told her. And then this was about the same time that Brian and Glenn hit me up.
Okay.
And I told her, I go, "Look, you really got to think about this, because it's going to take a lot of time away from you and the kids. The kids are already older, but now I got grandchildren who are my kids, and I fucking love them. But I separate that at the house, you know. I don't show them too much, and I don't, you know, when I'm there, I'm grandpa. Yeah. Yell at me, beat on me, whatever the hell they want to do. That's cool. But when it's time for me to go, they do know enough. They go, "Oh, you're going to go do an interview? Yeah. Okay, grandpa, you know, have a good one." All right, cool. Yeah. So they're cool. I always separated that. But when she did that and she gave me her blessing after I told her, I go, "This is what's going to be, this and this and this and this." Okay. She goes, "Well, can't you just do it on the weekends and stuff?" I go, No. No, I go, this isn't a country band that we play at the bar. Yeah. You know what I mean? Even though we'll play many bars, but I go, no, this is a revamp of something that was already there. And then when she got to meet some of the fans and all that, she's got a bigger fan base than I do now. When we go to the club or I play a gig, I get off. There's nobody waiting for me, for anybody. Every time I get a guy, go, "Here, bro, here's a beer. Yeah. Good job." And she's got like a group of people behind her. I just go, "What the fuck?" but you know, she's a great person, and she's the one that actually drives me and pushes me, and she's given Tanner a little bit of advice. but that's just
she's awesome.
That's just the mother in her, you know.
Yeah. And she's awesome.
And if it wasn't for her, I would have never did this without her blessing. But more so, I would never have gotten back in the music business if it wasn't my love for Brian Corbin. Yeah. That guy has been with me for a long time, and he was always my advocate. Even when I got kicked out of the band, like I said, he used to come see me no matter where I was. Him and Jem, they would always be there. And I never thought about it like, well, let's do something. I'd always tell him, "Brian, when I'm done with this, you got to get together and we got to write some music." That's all I tell him. It wasn't like, you know, what's going on, what's happening with your band. It was no bullshit or animosity, because there was a big thing happening at that time, and it was really fucking deflating. You know, it was a kick in the nuts to me, you know, as well as the band, I'm sure. Yeah. You know, and as you would find out the details in the documentary, Don't Turn Your Back. But Yeah, shit, we're on Prime Video now, right? Or are we gonna be?
Oh, yeah, I was waiting for him to ask me that, but that. Yeah. So
I'm sorry.
I'll let him do his job.
Hey, man, are you gonna be on Prime Video?
As a matter of fact, I must be a psychic. I thought that's what you were gonna say.
I was getting to it. I was gonna wrap it up with. I'm kidding. Anyways,
hey, this has been a pleasure. But honestly, man, the music and the journey and everything that's been going forward, and meeting good people like fucking Tanner right here. Not fucking Tanner, Mr. Tanner. I call him now.
Mr. Poppitt.
I call him Mr. Poppitt. I can't call Dad Dross no more,
yes,
right?
You can.
Oh, you still got my Dross?
Of course.
Oh, fuck. This guy sees filmmaker.
Of course. I'm just doing the filmmaking full time now because I just love making. I've done 3 films in the last year and a half.
That's awesome.
So
why not? That's only really 6 months of film, so yeah, there's 3.
Well, I haven't really had time to,
Yeah, I haven't seen you since the premiere.
Yeah, September of last year is the last time I saw him. So
that's right.
That's crazy.
That is.
That's nuts.
Fucking time flies when you're getting older.
That's bullshit.
Tanner.
It does.
So I take it you guys are going to ask, hey, where can we see this thing?
Where can we see this thing, Tanner?
That's what I was asking. That's what I was wondering.
What's next?
Well, those are 2 entirely different answers. But I'll give
go ahead and time together.
I'll start with the first one. So, actually, this film is going to be on Amazon Prime. They have licensed the film, which is a big deal for me because it legitimizes and solidifies my place in now film history.
Yeah.
So, yeah, anybody, and I've been hounded. I'm sure you've been hounded more so than me. Hey, where can we see this thing? Hey, dude. And so anyway, it'll be on Prime Video within the next couple weeks. So it takes a couple. What happens is the films get licensed by these platforms. What do you call them? Streaming platforms?
Yeah.
Apps?
Yeah, they're streaming platforms.
The apps? Okay,
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Right? They get licensed to the app, and it usually takes 2 to 12 weeks to go live. I don't know how it takes so long. Maybe because there's thousands and thousands and thousands of movies every day being generated on those platforms. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is yes, they have wanted to license the film, which only means as well too, which we'll talk about off the record too, of hopefully getting them paid for them letting me use the music for the movie, right? So that's how that kind of works. You know, scratch my back, I scratch yours.
Sure, yeah.
That's what I'm a firm believer in. I know it's not really, that's looked down upon in the music industry is to take care of people, but I like taking care of people, which is another, entirely different episode here. But yes, it'll be on Amazon Prime. I'm trying to get it on Tubi. It just got licensed too on a thing called Future Today, which is like Fossum.
Okay.
I've never heard of the app, but it's on there. It's going to be on there as well. So as things progress, it will be on all. I want them on all the major platforms.
Yeah.
I want this on Apple TV. I want this on. If I get it on Netflix, that'd be awesome. Or Hulu, right? But so it'll get pitched to those platforms. But yes, the big one so far is Amazon Prime.
That's a big deal.
Yes,
That's
it is.
a big deal, dude.
It's a big deal for me.
Hell yes.
Thank you. So hopefully it'll pick up the others as well and get those.
Super happy for you on that.
And going forward, so we have a premiere June 29th at the Gardena Cinema for the Legacy of Sideshow Studios, which actually, coincidentally enough, he's very well in tuned with Sideshow Studios because of the connection with Sherman Jones.
Yes, Sherman Jones.
So I did a film on the history of Sideshow Studios, how important rehearsing is for a band.
Yeah.
I wanted to explore that whole subject matter, and this was the perfect opportunity to kind of tackle, killed 2 birds with 1 stone kind of thing. So that was actually an even more interesting. I mean, this was interesting too, but everything was all there. But this one, you kind of had to go out and find the story, and how am I going to piece this together?
Yeah,
the important aspects of that place, right?
Yeah.
So that was it's a different kind of film than
more investigative in a way.
Yeah, which was really interesting, and it's a subject that all of us musicians and artists going back to, what is it? Keep it simple, stupid. Is that what you said? The basics? Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's what he said earlier. But,
I was talking about myself.
It's applicable.
But it can apply.
But I'm just saying that goes for anything, right? So the basics for being in a band starts in the rehearsal space. So I wanted to explore that because it always gets asked. And I know it's a dumb question. To me, it's actually the most important question for an artist is like what takes place in the rehearsal translates into the live and
exactly.
Making records and things like that. So anyway, that's coming up June 29th at the Gardena Cinema, and tickets are still available. We're looking forward to doing that premiere. I have my third one being edited right now. So I'll get more in tune with that at a later date. Hopefully you'll have me back on again.
Yeah.
And maybe for the 10-year anniversary, we can bring back me and Julian here and talk about a little director's cut of the film or something cool.
Oh yeah, we'll get down in some juicier shit. And then by then I'd be 70 and I'll be talking shit left and right.
The filter just goes out the window.
So that's what's coming up for me, and like I said, I hope the film does something. The Heretic film does something for the band, because at the end of the day, that's what it's meant to do. Hopefully, it'll help the band. Get out to Europe. Something small would be cool. Little trickles of opportunities would be nice for you guys. So anyway, I just hope it helps in some sort of way. So thanks for having me, guys. I really do appreciate it, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to be a filmmaker. I really do appreciate you.
What a great first job, Tanner.
Appreciate it.
Well, Tanner, Julian, nothing makes us happier than to have actual freaking good guys on the show, talented guys on the show, driven. You're so driven, and that's what I admire about you, Tanner. And the great stories that you're able to share throughout your life, and you're gonna see a lot of that in the documentaries, guys. So watch the documentary. It's going to be on Prime within the next 2-3 weeks, give or take.
Right, and where can people find all the Heretic stuff? PopProductions.com for the films, if you guys want that, and the Madras stuff is all located there. And
Heretic Metal USA. You can find our stuff there on Facebook. I believe that's the only platform we have right now.
Okay.
We got to do a lot of updating. There's going to be a lot of things coming through. We're wrapping up on the recording of our next album, Shape of Things to Come. And I believe, every artist always said, this is the best next one.
Uh-huh.
But honestly, this gives you a variety of from just raw thrash to actual thought pieces.
I'm excited to hear it, man. That's going to be cool.
We have a new studio, a new engineer, Steve Watson. He's got a home studio. He's a brilliant ear. He does wonders on the board. And I know, because this is probably the best Heretics ever sound through this studio.
Wow.
Is that your Persuasion?
That is my power of Persuasion.
Oh, okay. That's Steve's power of Persuasion for you?
Yeah. No, actually, I've known Steve Watson since I was 6. He was jamming with my cousin back in the day in a band called Phase, and they used to play in my grandma's garage. I used to be that kid trying to sneak in, look in the door and listen to them, trying to be part of it, But yeah, they'd always let me come in and mess around with stuff. But Steve, he's got a great ear. He's a musician himself. He shreds on the guitar, and he shreds on the board now.
I like the story of him coming to the premiere and going, damn it, now I got to actually finish this thing.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Well, hey guys, one more time, Tanner and Julian, thank you so much for coming to the Foo Bar Show, and we're going to take you guys out by playing Power of Persuasion.
One of the best metal pieces ever, BK.
Thanks, right, guys, again for having us. I really appreciate it. So.
Here we go.
Thank you.
Well, that was that.
Awesome dudes.
Yeah, man. And the stories that they had, I'm sure we could have gone for like 3 to 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like how when Tanner was talking about how when he was interviewing each and every one of them, he had like 2 hours at least per person. And there was like 20 people that he had an interview. So he had like 60 hours. Now, he was very smart in editing as he went. Because can you imagine just being burdened with all this video footage and like, where do you start?
That was my first assumption. Like, oh, you're going to have to film everything and then you edit at the end.
Yeah.
But when he said he was editing as he went, it was like,
Yeah, and that's impressive because now he knocked it all out within like a 6-month period, which is dope. And dude, can you imagine? The guy's going to go on Amazon Prime. That's not nothing.
I'm excited for that.
That's not nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You just like that corner of the screen, don't you, Steph?
You know what? I'm trying to figure it out because you're looking at me, but I'm looking at the screen.
Well, then you got to copy my
and so,
thing
like,
here.
I'm trying to turn the mic so that I can look at you.
You see what I did here? See how snazzy and comfy I am?
Okay, well,
you got to do that, but from over there.
And now my face is still covered, which is your issue with the last setup.
I think you need to figure your shit out there, Steph.
Oh my god. Yes, it's going to take me probably 4 or 5 episodes before I get comfortable.
Okay. Steph.
Yes.
I think that's the show. What do you think?
I think so.
You want to get out of here?
Let's go.
Okay. Well, thank you all so very much for listening into the Foo Bar Show, and a special thanks to you Foos who subscribe, rate, review, and share the pod with your fellow Foos. Remember to follow, like, and comment on our Instagram and TikTok at Foo Bar Show. That's FOO Bar Show. And listen at FOOBarshow.com, and we'll foo it up like a couple of Foos. I've been Josie.
And I'm Steph.
Signing off saying, don't be a dick!
Fuck, man. Thank you, guys.
My dad could kick the ever-living shit out of your dad. What? Your dad ain't shit. I know it for a fact. He a dick bag. Your mom's probably a bitch. Yeah, my mom's a fucking shit.
Why are you saying this?
My dad